Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Stereo, which is this audio-based live social platform. Think podcast but live and interactive, think talk radio but presented by someone actually sincere. My chum Michael and I did a couple of shows last week. Here's a little extract.
Have you seen the latest proposals for a artificial mountain in front of Marble Arch? If you have, what are your thoughts?
Ooh, this is interesting. Now, this is.
Have you, Tom? Because I think I have, but I want to see if you have.
I actually haven't, so I'm all ears on this. I can honestly say, myself fully intact, I have really been enjoying this. We have been having an awful lot of fun with it.
I was always confused about this because I always thought its proper name was the BT Tower.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it is officially the BT Tower. I mean, you know, when I were a lad, it was known as the Telecom Tower.
Right.
So yeah, I think they just change it every so often to confuse the tourists. So I did
just to keep it current.
If you'd like to listen to that, to the other show we did, to listen to my upcoming scheduled shows, or even to create shows of your own, click the link in the description below to create your own profile and avatar. The app is free to download, really easy to set up and use, and as long as you're over 18, the sky's the limit. And then you too can become a stereotype. Ha! I'm going to get booted off the platform for that pun, aren't I? So I've talked a bit about the Docklands Light Railway and its development. Something I've only barely touched on, though, is the question of station names. I know I did that video on Mudshoot, but that's really only the beginning. Today we're going to look at the DLR station names we never got. You see, when the DLR was being planned, it took them a while to figure out what the stations would be called, and had things gone a little differently, we might have had a very different set of stations. Starting in the east, Bank was always going to be Bank, connecting as it did with the underground station. But Tower Gateway looked like it was going to be called Minories. Tower Hill was another possibility, although this might be a relic of early planning stages when serious thought was given to the idea of a direct connection with the District Line. Limehouse could have been Stepney East, which was the name of the British rail station at the time. It had also been the name of the London and Blackwall railway station on this site. West Ferry could have been West Ferry Road, 3 words. The powers that be also, confusingly, considered Limehouse as a name. East India was to be named Brunswick, presumably after the nearby Brunswick Wharf. From here to Beckton, the planned station names seem to have lined up pretty well with what we got, although Custom House for XL was just Custom House. Now let's go back on ourselves. Heading south from Poplar, West India Quay might have been West India Dock or North Quay. Canary Wharf might have been Canary Quay, which seems weird these days given that Canary Wharf is such a well-known address. Just as Canary Wharf might have been Canary Quay, so Heron Quays might have been Heron Wharf. South Quay was going to be Cuba Street. Cross Harbour had the proposed name of Glengall Grove. I should also mention, for the sake of completeness, that this station stands on the site of the old Millwall Dock station, although I'm not aware of that ever being considered as a name for the DLR one. Mudshoot, as I've said in a previous video, might have been called Millwall Park, but for concerns about being confused with Millwall Football Club and its supporters. Something I didn't mention was that East Ferry Road was considered as an alternative name. I've also heard it suggested a couple of times that Thermopylae Gate was a possibility. The names North Greenwich and Cubitt Town were both considered for Island Gardens. Cubitt Town was an accurate descriptor of the location, and North Greenwich was the name of the closed station that had once stood here. The bit south of the river to Lewisham mostly kept its planned names, with the exception of Deptford Bridge. This was originally to be named Deptford Creek. Alright, back up north. All Saints stands on the site of the North London Railway's Poplar station, although again Poplar never seems to have been considered. Poplar High Street was, though, as was East India Dock Road. Langdon Park was a late arrival due to a lack of funding, only opening in 2007. And the names Carman Street and Fore Street were possible choices before the current name was chosen, named after the nearby Langdon Park School. Bow Church might have been Bow Road. Presumably the name was changed because while Bow Road Underground Station is close, it's not really close enough to call it an interchange. Pudding Mill Lane is another latecomer and might have been the less whimsical Marshgate Lane. Stratford and Stratford International saw no name changes, which I find a little odd given that their names are so similar. I mean, St Pancras International isn't a separate station from St Pancras. Anyway, speaking of diversions, let's head back down from Stratford International to Woolwich Arsenal. Past Canning Town, things get a little bit interesting. London City Airport took a while to, take off, and incredibly it was initially thought in 1989 that there just wasn't enough traffic to justify a station. We can only speculate what that would have meant for the station names. Perhaps we would have got Pontoon Dock for London City Airport. I should also mention that it was at one time proposed that the DLR should take over the North London line from Stratford International to North Woolwich, in which case we would have got North Woolwich Station instead of King George V. Woolwich Arsenal was always Woolwich Arsenal. So there you have it. In a parallel universe, you might have got a train from Minories to Deptford Creek, change at Canary Quay. In the course of researching this video, I've come across a whole load of abandoned proposals for the DLR, so assuming people aren't heartily sick of hearing about this system, I'll no doubt get around to those at some point. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please do hit like and subscribe for more like this. I'd like to thank my generous donors over on Ko-fi and over on Patreon for being the DLR to my post-industrial landscape. I'm really reaching for a metaphor there. If you'd like to join them, links to both are in the description below. Thanks once again to Stereo for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to follow the link down below to have a listen yourself. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheerio.